biggest player to be traded, as we move towards the deadline, we're like, 5-6 weeks away, will be blank.
Biggest as in height? What a stupid joke that was. Biggest player to be traded. It's going to be Zach LaVine.
Okay.
I think the weird place that he may go would be the Miami Heat. What? That sounds very weird, but they almost went and got Damian Lillard in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Jimmy's 34. It's time to go for it, baby. He's getting a little bit older. I think they would need they need some help scoring. They've got an incredible defense. Not a problem. But I think it'll be a little shocking, but I think they could give up. Here's my trade. It worked last night. Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin. They already have Jaime Jaquez. He's a new Caleb Martin. Nikola Jovic.
Yeah.
And a 2027 first-round pick. That's enough for Zach LaVine.
I mean.
And I think the interesting part is because there's going to be so many buyers, I should say, because there's just not a lot of bad teams. So I don't think there's going to be enough teams selling. So I just don't think you're going to get as much as we've talked about before with every single guy that's gotten multiple draft picks. Mm-hmm. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Dejounte Murray. Ain't going to happen. So Zach is going to be starting with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Jaime Jaquez, I think, and then whoever the fifth is, if it's Haywood Highsmith. I always think the Lakers, as I talked about last night, are going to go get Zach LaVine, which definitely could happen. But do they have enough talent to go get him, to trade for him? I think the Heat may have a little bit more because the Lakers aren't offering a lot unless they want to offer Austin, which I don't think they will, but maybe they would.
I mean, it's an interesting trade, and it doesn't sound like a bad return for a team like the Bulls when it comes to Zach LaVine, where he is obviously not playing. Like, they're doing better without him, though he might return this Friday. Is that what they're saying?
Hey, he's been practicing with the Windy City Bulls.
There you go. I was gonna say one issue though is like the Heat. I mean, they're good.
They're
like 19-14. They've been missing guys. Like Butler was out for a while, Bam was out for a while, Hero was obviously out for a while to start. And they're like right here in the mix, and nobody wants to play them come playoff time because of the Jimmy factor. So it's like, but all that said, we know Riley will go big name hunting, and if he sees it, he's going to take a stab at it possibly. But I don't know. Maybe they're just too good. If they were 14-19, absolutely, I could see them doing something like that. But I don't know. Maybe they don't rock the boat here with all these guys contributing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's basically the Damian Lillard package, and that didn't get it done, but LaVine is not on the level of Damian Lillard. Mm-hmm. I think the Lakers is more likely.
You think so?
For LaVine because of the struggle factor. They are 23rd, 24th in offense. I didn't check the standings today to see where they're at particularly, but down at the bottom, and it's a lot because of three-point shooting. That's something that LaVine could help for. He obviously played college ball in L.A. He's a clutch guy, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And the fact that the Lakers are at 500, whereas the Heat are exceeding expectations, or at least getting back to the level that they were the past couple of seasons. So, I don't know. LaVine is definitely in the mix, but who's more likely, Siakam or LaVine? Because every time I get on Twitter.com, first thing in the morning, trending, Siakam, LaVine, Dejounte Murray, every single day.
Yeah.
I don't know about Dejounte Murray, but who's more likely, LaVine or Siakam?
I would say LaVine, mainly because the Bulls have proven they're pretty good without him. Or are doing just fine. What are they, 10-7, I think, now without him in the lineup. And, I mean, why wouldn't you try and move for younger pieces or draft picks or another quality player that fits a bit better? Or shooters, like I said. I mean, I know Zach LaVine is a decent three-point shooter, but really needs the ball in his hands and stuff like that. I think LaVine I would have above Siakam and Dejounte Murray when it comes to likelihood of being traded this deadline.
Probably
sure.
so.
Yeah. Do you have another name? Big name?
Oh, I was just going to say, who is going to be the tallest player to be traded?
Oh, good question.
Height. The Heat
could Robert Williams, could Time Lord be traded?
Yeah, I wrote him down. He's always hurt.
Yeah.
With the Blazers. So you probably can't get much for him.
Capella?
I got Jarrett Allen and Clint Capella, contenders for biggest height-wise trader to be traded.
What about size-wise? What about Kenneth Lofton?
He just moved teams.
It's true. Unlikely.
Not a trade, yeah.
The biggest names traded last deadline, Mavericks traded Kyrie Irving.
Big one.
For him, on February 6th. Then the Suns traded for Durant a couple days later in a big 4-team deal. And we also had the Lakers, Wolves, and Jazz swapping point guards in the Westbrook, Conley, D'Angelo Russell sort of, moving around there. So those are probably the biggest names. I was just looking at last year's deadline as you built up to that. But we'll see if Zach LaVine or Siakam or something like that is the big name this year. Let's go to the next one, though. Most surprising player to be traded will be blank. You start us off here.
The player I'd be most surprised at is Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs have not met expectations yet. They're 18-15, 8th in the Eastern Conference, but you are seeing a little bit of Mitchell buzz. Everybody assumes that he's going to go to one of the New York teams when his time in Cleveland is done, but I don't see them cutting bait with him and forcing him to move on. I think they'd rather play it out and maybe try something different. The coach is probably the first thing that they changed, to be quite honest, just because that's how it usually goes. But then, like I said, I think Jared Allen is probably in the mix. It just doesn't seem to make sense that you're going to be able to play 2 big guys and 2 small guards at all times. And that's how the Cavs are built right now. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense to swap Jared Allen out for some wings. I don't know. Obviously, there's some Nets trades that make sense for Donovan Mitchell. But I think that the players that the Cavs are going to want back, Mikal Bridges in particular, that's why Donovan Mitchell would want to go to the Nets, to play alongside that guy. So maybe some smaller trades between those teams make sense. But I don't think Mitchell will get traded, but I would not be surprised if it's Jared Allen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they feel good enough from game to game. Like all this Donovan Mitchell conversation started because they didn't look all that good. They just seemed like they were going for it by trading so many draft picks for Donovan Mitchell, and it looked like they were worse than last year's team. But I think even these injuries to Mobley and to Garland kind of helps them in a weird way because they're looking at the future and saying, okay, we're going to give this team one more shot, at least when these guys get healthy. So I don't think they make the move. And watching them from game to game, they do look good, but sometimes they lose. But at the same time, it's kind of an excuse. You don't have Garland, you don't have Mobley until the All-Star break. So you pulling the plug now on something that you gave up $1 billion draft picks for last year, and you had only one chance at it in the playoffs. I think it would be early to do that. That's why I don't think these other guys like Jared Allen, I don't think will be the tallest guy traded. I think they are going to keep him around. But sometimes it doesn't make sense. In the playoffs, they were bad. I mean, they couldn't score.
Yeah,
period.
It's not like Mitchell is like Siakam where he's coming up on free agency, right? I mean, he is under contract obviously this season and next season, and then there's a player option. So you're not like it's not, but I guess you could flip that around and say that's the perfect time to trade him because a team is going to have him and some control, and maybe you're going to get a bigger package if you're going to go that way, and you're convinced that he ultimately wants to leave Cleveland and it doesn't work and so on. But I would be a little shocked, I think, if the Cavs moved off of Mitchell. Maybe a little more likely Allen, but even then, I don't know if they'll do that. Do you have anyone else, a surprising player?
A surprising player, I would be very surprised if he got dealt, Dejounte Murray with the Atlanta Hawks, because they're just bad right now. 13-19, they're sitting outside of the play-in picture, and this is also a team that's gone for it. So you see what in Cleveland they gave out for Donovan Mitchell. Atlanta's the similar sort of package for Dejounte Murray in that they gave up multiple draft picks. They don't look good. And what I said earlier about buyers, sellers didn't really make sense. Actually, I go back. There's a lot of buyers, so maybe, like we just talked about with Donovan Mitchell, maybe the packages will be pretty large for this, I think, smaller amount of guys available, but the buyers will say, okay, all right, we got to do this. And maybe the Lakers say, all right, we're getting Dejounte Murray, because he would fit really damn well.
Yeah, DeJounte's been linked to the Lakers. He's sort of always linked to the Knicks, even though they made the OG move. The Warriors' names always come up with a player like him. The Jazz I've seen recently, that would be taking a different direction, pairing him, I guess, with, Keontae George and stuff like that. DeJounte Murray. What about Trae Young? Is that even more surprising?
That would be more surprising.
Definitely, if they decided that. Do you think the Hawks should move? Let's say not Trae Young, but or maybe you want to, but one of the guys should move.
Murray should go.
Have you seen enough?
Yes.
That this does not
Absolutely.
Work
I think Dejounte Murray was overrated coming to the Hawks.
Right.
And I think that it's kind of played out the way a lot of people anticipated. Him and Trae Young just don't make each other better. Trae Young is better with the ball. So Dejounte Murray is not a great off-ball player. He's fine at it. He's shooting, I think, 38% from three, which is fine, but he's not a scary outside shooter, and his best looks are with the ball in his hand. Yeah. So I think it doesn't seem to make much sense. It hasn't improved the Hawks' defense the way people thought it would. They've gone the other way, which is kind of surprising. So I think the fact that he's 27 years old right now, in the middle of his prime, he's signed until 2028 after doing an extension with the Hawks that still doesn't kick in until next season. It's probably better to trade him now than he plays another couple of years, and maybe that hurts his value even more so.
Yeah, when the Spurs gave up their number one guy in Dejounte Murray, I was confused. This guy is obviously very good, a talented guy, but he also needs the ball in his hands. And so the Spurs wanted to play something different. And I understand Trae Young needs the ball in his hands, and it doesn't always work. But the weird thing is the defensive side, how bad they are defensively, because the offense is still working. He's got 20 points, 5 assists, 4.5 boards, shoots well from three at 38%. But maybe they're going to pull the plug. They gave John Collins away, essentially. The DeAndre
too late. Way too late.
Yeah, they could have got more if they went early.
Yeah, they should have.
DeAndre Hunter, not working with a long-term deal. So it's just like, brick by brick. It's just, what are you building here? It ain't going well. Landry Fields took over the front office. Let's do this thing. Landry Fields and Kyle Korver, let's make it happen. Tear it up. And go to the Lakers. This deal works. Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, former Hawk, Christian Wood, and 2029 first-round pick. I know, not all that sexy. It's not sexy.
I hope we could do better than that.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I think when you tear it down, we're talking about tearing it down, it's all about picks.
You're tearing it down, you're getting rid of Trae Young. Trade Trae Young and get a real return and really start building your team around potential draft picks and Jalen Johnson and stuff like that. But because you're saying tear it down, you're just taking the top floor off with Dejounte Murray. You're keeping the base. You're keeping the concrete.
I want that foundation. I want that Trae foundation. Trae is the foundation.
But I want to bring the Bobcat in and take the whole damn thing down.
You want to change the name to the Charlotte Bobcats?
I'm a tiny bit serious, though, that they should explore trading Trae Young. I am. I don't think it's going to happen this deadline, but I don't think you're that far from it. In terms, I don't know. It's proving to be difficult for them to build a team around him.
I don't know. I think fire the coach.
Okay, well, Jesus, they've done that before. That works usually
for them
once. Yeah.